The message drops like a guillotine blade in the middle of my lunch. I'm halfway through a cold sandwich in my cramped home office, finalizing UI tweaks for a shipping client, when my phone buzzes twice. WeChat group notification. Nothing unusual. Probably one of Vivian's endless work circles again. But it's not a tech group. It's us. Founders First 16, the little circle of dreamers we used to be. Me, Vivian, Leo, Mira, a few others from our incubator days. It's been mostly dead for months. But today, Vivian decided to resurrect it with a bang. Vivian Sue. Guess who's off to Santorini next week with Leo smirking face water wave? Just us. No work. Just reconnecting with the vision clinking glasses sparkles. I freeze. I reread it 3 times. My thumb hovers over the screen like it's radioactive. She didn't even bother to tell me first. Not in private. Not even a courtesy heads up. Instead, she dropped it into our old group chat, our chat, where we once shared midnight brainstorms, pizza fundraisers, 3 a.m. panic attacks about seed rounds. Where she and I once posted photos of our shared desk, our cheap coffee mugs, our matching hoodies. And now this. A vacation. With Leo. Reconnecting with the vision. What vision? Whose? The replies start rolling in. Mira Chen. Face without mouth wow. Didn't see that coming. Jason. Whoa whoa. Eyes that's bold. Hashtag C energy. Leo Fong. The C's got nothing on your brilliance. Viv winking face hashtag next chapter. Vivian Sue. Face with tears of joy you're impossible. But yes. It's time I stopped apologizing for outgrowing people who can't keep up. That last line burns like acid behind my eyes. She knew I'd see it. That was the point. The people who can't keep up. She could have just said my name. My hand goes numb around the sandwich. I let it fall back into the wrapper. My heart isn't racing. It's slowing down. Like it's conserving energy for something darker. I'm not angry, not yet. I'm stunned. Stuck between 2 realities. The one where Vivian and I were still building something together, and this new one, where I'm just, irrelevant. Discarded. Like I was the beta version, and Leo is the shiny update. I opened our private chat. Nothing since last Thursday. Just a cold, clinical message. Vivian Sue. The board meeting moved. Don't forget to revise the deck before 10. THX. No, hey. No, love you. No emoji, no softness. Just business. That was the same day I stayed up reworking her launch deck until 3 a.m. Even updated her talking points for the Q3 pivot she barely explained to me. Now she's boarding a flight with Leo. To Santorini. I think back to the early days. Vivian in oversized glasses, half drunk on instant ramen and ambition, crashing on my couch after late-night strategy calls. She used to call me her silent storm, the one who held everything up while she raged into the world. We swore we'd travel together someday. Santorini was on our list. Back when we had a list. Back when we had a we. Now she's fulfilling that dream with Leo. She didn't even call. I scroll back to her message again. It's time I stopped apologizing for outgrowing people who can't keep up. My thumb trembles slightly as I stare at it. My eyes catch something else. A comment from one of Leo's sycophants. Aaron. Ethan's not in that category, right? Face with tears of joy. Vivian's reply. Vivian Sue. Weak men hate strong women. I've learned to stop feeling guilty. I drop the phone. It lands face up on the hardwood floor. The screen stays on, her words glowing up at me like some twisted neon sign. Weak men hate strong women. I don't cry. I don't scream. I just sit there in silence, listening to the distant hum of traffic outside my window and the buzz of the overhead light. My chest feels hollow, like a building that's been evacuated after a fire alarm. The only difference is, I'm the one who didn't smell the smoke until it was too late. I pick up the phone again and open the freezer. I press my fingertips against a bag of frozen peas. Anything to feel something colder than her. I stare out the window. Somewhere across the city, maybe just a few miles from here, she's planning flights and dinners and hashtags. Laughing with him. The man who wasn't there when she cried herself to sleep after her first investor bailed. The man who didn't drive 3 hours to her mother's village to deliver a forgotten will. But he's the one going to Santorini. He's the one she defends now. My phone vibrates again. This time, a private message from Mira. Mira Chen. You okay? I don't reply. Not yet. Because no, I'm not okay. But I will be. Eventually. I didn't sleep last night. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to. There's something worse than insomnia. It's choosing consciousness because your dreams might hurt more than your reality. I sat in the dark with an old photo album open on my desk. Not the digital kind. The real one, tattered, handwritten captions, coffee-stained corners. Vivian used to joke that I was a grandpa trapped in a tech nerd's body. I liked paper things. I liked permanence. She liked momentum. The photo on the first page is faded, us outside our first co-working space, the grind. She's wearing my hoodie, flashing a peace sign. I'm holding a crumpled napkin with a pitch idea scribbled on it. Smart Urban Delivery Systems, beta name, Quick Crate. We were nobodies. But in that picture, we looked like the future. And for a while, we were. Back then, Vivian used to talk like the world owed us nothing, but we'd take everything anyway. I don't want a seat at their table, she said one night, legs curled under her on my couch. I want to build a better one. Steel frame. Bulletproof. I remember smiling. Sounds heavy. She looked at me, dead serious. Then I need someone who can carry it with me. I thought that someone was me. So I stayed. Even when my own dreams started fading like old chalk on a rain-soaked sidewalk. There was a time I wanted to build my own thing. A modular software suite to digitize aging rural factories. Like my dad's. Something small but real. I even sketched out the wireframes and logged domain ideas. But every time I looked at Vivian, glowing with purpose, closing deals, commanding rooms. I thought, she needs me more than I need this. And then I stopped sketching. The dream just sat there. In notebooks I stopped opening. In folders buried beneath folders named Viv_pitch, Viv_Q3 assets, Viv_dec revisions. I called it support. But maybe it was surrender. And now she's sipping cocktails with Leo, while I nurse a bitter truth I helped brew. It's not just that she's cheating. It's that she changed the plan. Our plan. Silently. Strategically. Like cutting out a line of code she no longer needed. I walk to the mirror. I haven't shaved. My eyes are ringed in red. My hoodie smells like dust and cold pizza. This is what holding someone else's dream looks like when they stop dreaming about you. My phone buzzes. Another message from Mira. Mira Chen. Still thinking about yesterday. Don't let her rewrite your story. I type and delete a dozen replies. I settle on. Ethan. It's not about the story. It's that I forgot I had one without her. The words sit in the chat box, blinking back at me like they're daring me to believe them. Because somewhere along the line, I did forget. I wasn't just Vivian's support system. I was a person. With dreams. With goals. With a reason. And I want that back. I closed the photo album. Slide it into the drawer. Not to erase it, but to stop letting it define me. The memories are still there. But they don't get to hold the pen anymore. The office smells like synthetic lavender and ambition. I never liked coming here, not since Vivian moved headquarters to the 26th floor of the Glass Ridge Tower. Everything feels too polished, too sterile. The kind of place where success is measured in heel clicks and espresso shots, not heartbeats. I'm only here because I promised her assistant I'd drop off a signed vendor contract. It's for one of her older clients, one I onboarded years ago, before Leo ever showed his surgically whitened teeth around here. I step off the elevator, document folder in hand, and the receptionist barely glances at me. She knows who I am. Used to say hi. Now she acts like I'm the delivery guy who shows up too often. Maybe I am. Vivian's door is open. Of course it is. She likes everyone to see how busy she is, how important. Every meeting is staged with perfect lighting and perfect posture. And right now, she's sitting across from Leo. He's leaning back, legs crossed, sleeves rolled halfway up his forearms like some tech startup god. He's grinning, talking low, his voice smooth, confident. She laughs at something he says. The kind of laugh she used to reserve for our dumb inside jokes over bubble tea. I hesitate for half a second. That's all it takes for Leo to notice me. His eyes meet mine like he's been waiting for this moment. Ah, he says, standing slowly. Viv, your friend's here. Friend. The word slides out of his mouth like grease. Vivian turns her head, just slightly. Her smile stays frozen in place. Ethan, she says, flat. Didn't expect you so early. She doesn't stand. Doesn't offer a chair. Doesn't even motion for me to come in. I hold up the folder. Just dropping off the signed contract from How You. You said it was urgent. She nods once, eyes already drifting back to Leo. Leave it with reception next time. Next time. Like I'm just another task to be outsourced. I walk into the office anyway. Place the folder on her desk, deliberately, in front of her laptop. My fingers brush the edge of her keyboard. For a moment, I wonder what she's typing these days. Probably plans. Presentations. Or texts to Leo with clinking glasses and let's kill Q4. I glance at him. He's watching me like I'm a bug on the window. You know, he says casually, I always wondered how you managed to keep up with someone like Viv. I turn to face him. Maybe because I wasn't trying to compete. Vivian flinches, just barely. Leo smirks. Some of us don't have the luxury of being invisible. I wasn't invisible, I say, quietly. I was essential. You're just loud. He opens his mouth, but Vivian cuts in. That's enough. Her voice is sharp, executive clean. Both of you. She stands, finally. Straightens her blazer. Looks at me like I'm a complication she doesn't have time to deal with. We're in a meeting, Ethan. Meeting. Not conversation. Not life. Not marriage. I nod. Not because I agree, but because I finally understand. I won't come back, I say. She doesn't stop me. Leo lifts his coffee cup in mock salute. I leave. But this time, I don't feel like I've lost. For the first time in months, I feel the first flicker of something I haven't felt in a long time. Clarity. If you've ever watched someone perform a eulogy for a relationship they haven't admitted is dead yet, you'd understand what tonight feels like. The rooftop is glassy and golden. Fairy lights strung like constellations, champagne flutes clinking against sleek fingernails. It's the product launch party for one of Vivian's key partners, a fintech firm she helped secure a Series B investment for. I wasn't on the guest list. But Mira was. And when she forwarded the invite, she added just 2 words. Come clean. So here I am. Suit slightly rumpled from the cab ride, hair wind-ruffled, heart unusually still. I scan the crowd and see her instantly. Vivian glows in evening gold, tailored jumpsuit, heels that could kill, hair in that perfectly messy knot she knows makes her look untouchable. People orbit her. Smiling, nodding, laughing too hard. And next to her, of course, is Leo. He's got his arm around the back of her chair in that casual, possessive way. Like he owns air now. He's telling a story and the group's eating out of his hand. I weave through the crowd and grab a drink. The waiter gives me a curious glance, probably wondering if I belong here. I don't. Not to them. But I do belong here. With her. At least enough to say what's owed. Mira finds me first. You okay? She asks, gently. She's wearing her usual neutral palette, cream blazer, minimal makeup, eyes that see too much. I nod. I'm not here to make a scene. She tilts her head. Just a point. Exactly. 20 minutes pass before Vivian finally notices me. It's Leo who spots me first, of course. I see the way his smile tightens like a guitar string. Vivian follows his gaze, her eyes landing on me like a surprise audit. I raise my glass, half toast, half signal. She excuses herself and makes her way over. Her heels click like punctuation on polished tile. I didn't expect you here, she says, voice smooth but careful. This isn't your circle anymore. I'm not here for your circle, I reply. I'm here for closure. She sips her wine, still clinging to whatever story you've told yourself. No, I say. Actually, I'm letting go of the one you tried to write me out of. She blinks. People around us are chatting, laughing, and oblivious. But there's a silence between us so loud it hums. You made your choice, Vivian, I say. Publicly. Repeatedly. You left our marriage in everything but paperwork. You invited him to the life we built. Her eyes harden. That's dramatic. No, I say. It's honest. I take a step closer, not threatening, just real. You want to be with him? Fine. But don't rewrite the past to make it look like I wasn't enough. I was there when no one else was. Including him. Her lip twitches. You're embarrassing yourself. No, I say calmly. That's what you're afraid of. That I'll finally stop being quiet. And then I do it. I reach into my jacket pocket and pull out my phone. I open our chat history, pages of texts. My support. Her coldness. I hit a block. Right in front of her. No theatrics. No speech. Just one press. And silence. Her eyes widen for just a second. It's the first real emotion I've seen in her face in weeks. I hand her the empty glass. Toast to your future, I say. But I won't be in the audience. And then I turn and walk away. The night air hits me on the balcony like absolution. Mira joins me a moment later. You did it, she says softly. Yeah, I replied. My hands are shaking. But inside, something's finally still. There's a thing that happens when you finally walk away. The silence isn't peace. It's a vacuum. And life rushes in to fill it, with truths you were never supposed to hear. It's 3 days after the rooftop event. I'm at Myra's new co-working space, helping her prep slides for a pitch when I get a call. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. But then Myra's phone lights up too, and her expression twists before she even unlocks it. Ethan, she says, you need to see this. The video is everywhere. A clip from that rooftop party. Not from the speeches or the product showcase, but from right after I left. Leo, standing on the small makeshift stage with a mic, casually calling for a toast. And beside him, Vivian. Not reluctantly. Not uncomfortably. But smiling. He's thanking the investors, sure, but then his voice shifts. And to the people who stood by us, not just professionally, but personally. To Vivian, who gave me a reason to believe in second chances, even if they weren't mine to begin with. People laugh, clap. Vivian doesn't stop him. She leans in. He kisses her on the cheek. But she turns. Their lips meet. The crowd hoots. Someone whistles. Someone yells, about time. The clip is less than 30 seconds. But that's all it takes. My phone starts buzzing like a hornet's nest. Old colleagues. Distant relatives. Even my landlord. Because the clip's gone viral, not just for the kiss, but for who I am in the story, the husband she forgot to mention still existed. A headline follows on a startup blog. Fintech power couple confirmed at last, after quiet divorce. Except, we were not divorced. And nothing was quiet. I drove to Vivian's office the next morning. I don't text. I don't call. I walk through the lobby like I used to when I brought her lunch or late-night coffee. But now security stops me. She's asked that all unscheduled visitors be turned away. Tell her it's Ethan. The guard checks an iPad. He hesitates. Then leans in and says, "Lo," she said, "especially if it's you." The next part, I don't plan. I just turn around, and Leo is walking in, all smug blazer and white sneakers. We lock eyes. "You're trespassing now," he says with a grin. "I'm still her husband," I snapped. He scoffs. "That's a matter of paperwork, not reality." I step forward. "You're proud of this? Stealing someone's wife in broad daylight?" He shrugs. "I didn't steal anything." She was already gone. Before I can speak again, the elevator opens. Vivian steps out, poised, cold. She takes one look at us, and sighs. "Not here," she says. "You made this public," I say, louder than I meant to. "You stood on a stage and erased me." Her expression flickers. Just for a moment. Then she speaks, firm. "I'm sorry you saw that. But this isn't about you anymore, Ethan." Leo smirks. "Told you." She turns to him, turns away from me, and places a hand lightly on his arm. Like I'm not even standing there. I walk out. But it's not an exit. It's an exile. Mira finds me on a park bench hours later. She hands me a coffee. No cream, 2 sugars. "You okay?" she asks. "No," I say. "Good," she replies. "That means you're ready." I look at her. For what? For war. The word divorce used to feel nuclear. Like once it left your mouth, there was no walking it back. But after Vivian's rooftop performance, it just feels overdue. Like an eviction notice you should have posted 6 months ago. Mira connects me with a lawyer. Her name is Eliza Khan, sharp eyes, sharper tone. We meet in a downtown office that smells like printer ink and quiet judgment. "I'll be direct," Eliza says, flipping through the contract I signed when Vivian and I got married. My stomach clenches. "You signed a postnup?" "Yeah," I say slowly. "When her company went public. She said it was just paperwork." Eliza doesn't laugh, but she does tilt her head. "She owns 100% of marital assets. Including the house." I blink. "She told me it was temporary. Just for the board." Eliza meets my eyes. "Nothing about this was temporary. Still, we file. The petition goes through. We serve her, officially, with a notice sent to both her office and her lawyer. For a moment, I feel a flicker of hope. Like maybe, just maybe, this is the end. It's not. The next morning, there's a segment on a local tech podcast. Vivian Chang's messy marriage, rumors, leaks, and lawsuits. And in it, the host reads from an anonymous source. Ethan W. was emotionally manipulative, threatened to sabotage the company, and used Vivian's success to fund his own failures. The worst part? They say it so casually. Like it's already accepted. Mira and I listen to it together. Jesus, she mutters. She's spinning the narrative before you can stand up. It gets worse. Vivian's lawyer files a motion to delay the divorce proceedings. The reason? Concerns about Ethan's mental and emotional state. Potential for public instability. Eliza fumes. This is a trap. She's painting you as unstable so you can't contest asset division, or worse, to get a restraining order. I exhale, slow. Can she really do that? She's trying to. She's testing how much you'll fight back. I go home, to the apartment I'm now renting because she locked me out of the house. There's a letter on the floor. From her company's legal team. It reads, "Please cease and desist from using the Chinwei name or likeness in any public or private domain, including LinkedIn, bios, and informal CVs." She's trying to erase me professionally too. I helped build that brand, pitched, networked, designed half the prototype UI. Now it's like I never existed. Mira storms into the apartment that night with a whiteboard and 3 pints of ice cream. "We're going to fight like a startup," she says. What does that mean? It means we leak first. We frame your side before she finishes writing hers. I laugh, bitter. What side? She turns, eyes blazing. The truth, that she cheated, lied, manipulated. And now she's trying to gaslight the entire city into believing you were the villain. For the first time, I look at Mira differently. Not just as a friend or ally, but as someone who's been waiting for me to wake up. That night, I wrote a letter. A statement. My side of things. It's raw. Unpolished. I don't name names. But I name feelings. And I end it with, if she wants to rewrite history, she'll have to do it without my silence. Eliza says not to post it. Mira says wait. But I hit publish anyway. Just a medium post. Just one share on my dead Twitter account. By morning, it had 84,000 views. And I get a text. From Vivian. You had your shot at being noble. Now it's war. I didn't expect my medium post to blow up. Not like this. DMs flood in, old coworkers, acquaintances from tech meetups, even investors I'd forgotten I met. Most of them say the same thing. I always wondered how someone like her ended up with someone like you. It's not a compliment. But it's not a hit either. It means they believed me. That's something. Vivian responds the way I feared. Not with a rebuttal. Not with a tweet. But with silence. Corporate, surgical silence. No press. No leaks. No counter-allegations. Just swift, ruthless moves behind the curtain. Within 48 hours, 3 of my biggest consulting contracts were terminated. All 3 clients cite conflicts of interest or reputational risk. One sends me a copy-paste statement that might as well read, "Vivian Ching doesn't want us talking to you." And guess what? They're all companies tied to her VC fund. Jesus, Mira says, slamming her laptop shut. She's closing your pipelines. Starving you out. She always played long games. Mira stares at me. You're taking this awfully well. I'm not, I say. I'm just, used to being underestimated. Eliza calls that night. She's trying to break you before the first hearing. She's bleeding your cash flow so you'll settle. For what? An NDA and a smile? No. A complete gag order. She wants you to walk away with nothing. I lean back in my chair. Then it's time we start treating this like a campaign. Mira and I stayed up all night. She sketches on a whiteboard like it's a battle map. I draft language like I'm scripting an ad. By dawn, we have a plan. We're going to make Vivian Chang's worst fear come true. She resigned 2 years ago, for personal reasons. Her voice is calm, but her words are lethal. If you're building a case, I've got receipts. The truth is, you were the co-founder in everything but the title. By the end of the week, we have her deposition. Eliza nearly cries. This changes everything, she says. With this, we can subpoena corporate records. We can tie your contribution to tangible company growth. You're not just her husband. You're a silenced founder. Vivian finally cracks. She texts. Just one line. Meet me. Alone. The rooftop of VY Tech's headquarters was never meant to be symbolic. Just another luxury perk for investors to sip cocktails and gawk at the skyline. But tonight, the air up here carried weight, like the sky was pressing in on us, demanding something be stripped away. Vivian stood by the edge, her arms crossed, a brittle kind of elegance wrapped in her tailored blazer. City lights shimmered behind her like ghosts of choices we never made. "I figured you'd come," she said without turning. I closed the distance, my steps sharp on the stone floor. "Don't flatter yourself. I didn't come for you." She finally looked at me. Eyes cold, calculating, but something else too. Panic? Regret? I couldn't trust myself to interpret it anymore. "I just wanted you to hear it from me," she said. "Hear what? That you slept with Leo Fong? That you told people I was a financial burden? Do you hate me?" Her lip twitched. "I never said I hated you. You told me you did." I was angry. I barked a bitter laugh. "You don't get to rewrite history just because I'm finally done living in your shadow." Silence stretched. The wind tugged at my shirt. Down below, I could see tiny people exiting the lobby, umbrellas popping like little lies trying to shield themselves. "You always needed to be rescued," she said quietly. I stiffened. "Even when we were in school. I thought, if I got far enough, big enough, I could carry you with me. But you never tried." "Try." I stepped closer, my voice sharp. "I gave up everything to support your dream. My startup. My father's project. My self-worth. All for you. I was your parachute, Vivian, not your anchor." She didn't deny it. Just stared at me like she was realizing it too late. "You're not in love with Leo," I said suddenly. "He's just the kind of man you thought you were supposed to want." Her eyes glistened. "He made me feel powerful." "So did I," I whispered. "Until you decided I wasn't enough." A pause. "Then, I read the divorce papers." I nodded. "It's real. No delays. No PR spin. I'm walking away." I turned to leave, but her voice caught me like a hook. "Ethan, what happens now?" I didn't look back. "Now. You get to see who I become without you." And for the first time in years, I meant every word. I was supposed to be celebrating. The investor pitch I gave earlier that day had landed, solid. 3 VCs wanted to talk more. For once, my name was the one making noise in those polished, sterile boardrooms. Not hers. So when Sam texted, "Meet me behind the gallery. Urgent. Can't call," I didn't question it. He was my guy. Ride or die since sophomore year. The one who'd given me his couch when Vivian locked me out of our penthouse after an argument over her calendar being more important than our anniversary. But the moment I stepped into that narrow alley behind the art gallery, damp, dimly lit, empty except for flickering neon and my own footsteps, I knew I'd made a mistake. He was already there. Not alone. Leo Fong leaned against the wall, a cigarette dangling from his lips. Like this was just another night. I stopped cold. Is this some kind of joke? Sam looked guilty. Not panicked, not apologetic. Just worn out. "Vivian wants to end this quietly," he said. "No lawsuits. No drama. She's even willing to negotiate the asset split. I didn't authorize you to speak for me." Leo chuckled, "Blue smoke. Let's not pretend this isn't above your pay grade, Ethan." I turned to Sam. "You told me you had my back. That you were done working with her." Sam avoided my eyes. "She made me an offer. Your new startup. She already knows about the prototype. She can bury you before it ever goes public. So what, you traded loyalty for a job title?" "I have a kid on the way, man," he mumbled. I took a step back, the sting sharper than expected. Sam had held my hand when I sobbed after my mom died. He was there the night Vivian and I eloped. He'd been more brother than friend. And now, he was leveraged. "Do you hear yourself?" I said. "You're letting her turn my entire life into a controlled demolition just so you can survive the fallout." Leo flicked his cigarette. "You were never built for this game, Ethan." I looked him dead in the eye. "Maybe not. But I'm learning fast." And then I walked. Because the only thing worse than betrayal is watching someone you love sell their soul, cheap. I didn't go home that night. Or the next. My so-called home had become an echo chamber, Vivian's curated museum of control, where even my toothbrush placement probably had a KPI. Instead, I holed up in a grimy little Airbnb above a Persian grocery store on the east side. No concierge. No marble floors. Just silence, and the pungent smell of cardamom and regret. My phone buzzed non-stop. Vivian's lawyers. Her assistants. Even a couple reporters were fishing for a quote after she scrubbed every photo of us off her social media. As if erasing the digital footprint could rewrite reality. I turned it all off. Let the world ring into voicemail hell. I didn't sleep much. I'd sit in that cold kitchen with a cracked tile floor, drinking lukewarm tea and staring at my sketch pad. I hadn't drawn in years, not since college, when life was still raw and messy and honest. But on the third day, I found myself sketching a bird. Not just any bird, a falcon, tethered to a golden perch. Then I drew the knife that cut the tether. It wasn't subtle. On the fourth day, I got a knock. David. Of all people. He stood in the doorway, rain-soaked, holding a brown paper bag and 2 beers. Word travels, he said simply. I let him in without saying a word. We didn't talk for hours. Just sat across from each other, sipping cheap beer and listening to the distant traffic bleed through the cracked windows. Then he finally said, "You're not broken. You're just unfiltered for the first time." That hit harder than I expected. "You don't get it," I said. "I spent years building a life I thought mattered. Now all of it, Vivian, the business, my friends, was just rented power. None of it was real." David leaned forward, eyes sharp but kind. "Then build something that is. You know who you are when no one's watching, that's the guy who needs a blueprint." He tossed a small notebook on the table. "Start with that." I opened it. Blank pages. Waiting. He got up to leave. At the door, he turned. "You've got 2 choices, Ethan. Stay in the wreckage, or start digging foundations." Then he was gone. And I just stared at that notebook. The first time in weeks I didn't feel hollow. Just, unfinished. The first thing I did that morning was turn my phone back on. 372 messages. 86 missed calls. My inbox. A war zone. Vivian's publicists had issued a vague joint statement about a temporary separation, but the truth— "I'm listening," she said, warmer now. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Over the next 48 hours, I reached out to a handful of others, brilliant minds Vivian either scared off or undervalued. Quiet builders. Ethical coders. Ones with scars like mine. Each said yes. Because when a phoenix rises, it doesn't call for permission. It sets its own fire. It started with a single LinkedIn post. No vengeance. No cryptic clapbacks. Just a clean announcement. Building again. This time, without compromise. A small team. A big heart. Let's talk about ethics in tech. Let's talk about real innovation. Ethan Riker, co-founder, Verum Labs. No hashtags. No mention of Vivian. No press push. And yet, it spread like gasoline on dry leaves. By noon, industry insiders were resharing it. By evening, someone on Reddit had posted a thread connecting my departure from CrossSoft to Vivian's shady boardroom power plays. And by morning, chaos. Vivian called. I didn't pick up. She texted. "What the hell are you doing? Don't be stupid. You're not ready for this." But her voice didn't shake me anymore. Instead, I forwarded her message to Ava. She laughed and replied. That's her scared tone. I remember it from my exit meeting. Vivian went into full damage control, posting photos from boardrooms, tagging investors, staging Instagram stories that showed her thriving. But her face looked tighter. Her smiles are more brittle. Because behind the curated content, she was bleeding. 1 week after launch, Verum Labs landed its first angel investor, quietly but confidently. Ava had coded a prototype in 72 hours that tackled predictive medical diagnostics using anonymized datasets. Something CrossSoft promised 2 years ago but shelved for ad tech revenue. Ours worked. And it was clean. Journalists reached out. I gave only one interview, an op-ed in Wired. Innovation isn't about control. It's about listening. About ethical creation. I left because I was tired of being silent in a room full of applause for the wrong things. They didn't need names to know who I meant. By the end of the month, CrossSoft stock had dropped 6 points. Vivian posted a tearful video on her personal journey, how the media was bullying her, how betrayal hurts. But I wasn't the one who cheated. I wasn't the one who weaponized love for leverage. She made herself the villain. All I had to do was tell my truth, quietly, powerfully, with integrity. Funny how that's louder than any scandal. The knock was soft. Too soft for Vivian. I almost didn't open the door. But something in me, curiosity, maybe pity, pulled me across the hardwood floor. It was a Sunday. Early. The sun hadn't burned through the mist yet. And there she was. Vivian Cross. Wearing an oversized hoodie that didn't belong to her brand. No heels. No contour. No armor. Just a haunted face, holding a Starbucks cup she hadn't touched. "Can I come in?" I didn't move. "I'm not here to fight," she added quickly. "I'm not here to insult you. Ethan, please." Her voice cracked. I stepped aside. She walked in like a stranger in her own past, like someone walking through a museum of mistakes. The apartment still had traces of her. A wine glass we never used. A bookshelf she once curated for Instagram clout. She noticed, flinched, and looked away. "Why now?" I asked, arms crossed. She sank into the couch, clutching the cup like it was the only warm thing in her life. "I saw the press tour," she said. "Not just the Wired piece. The Verum Labs demo. The ethics board quote. The traction you're getting. She stopped herself. "I thought you'd crash. That you'd crawl back. But you didn't." I nodded slowly. "And that scares you?" "No. It kills me." Silence. Then she whispered, "I miss you, Ethan." I stared. Not at her. Through her. "You miss control." She flinched. "You miss knowing I'd wait outside boardrooms, take your phone calls at 2 a.m., fix the back-end bugs you didn't understand, forgive the way you looked at Miles like I was a shadow. I never." "You did. And now that I don't orbit you, your world tilts." She blinked hard. "You're cold." "No," I said softly. "I'm finally warm. Without you." She reached for my hand. I pulled back. "Vivian, you're not here for love. You're here because the story shifted. And for once, you're not the protagonist." Her lip quivered. "I still love you," she whispered. "Then love me enough to let go." She stood, slowly. Broken. Beautiful in a way I hadn't seen before, unmasked, unraveling. She walked to the door. Paused. And left without another word. People talk about healing like it's linear. Like it's a staircase you climb one step at a time. But sometimes, healing is fire, violent, cleansing, and final. Vivian's visit didn't shake me. It confirmed something I'd quietly known. I wasn't hers anymore. I never really was. I'd been borrowing pieces of myself to build her vision, not mine. That morning, after she left, I brewed my own coffee. No assistant. No smart machine. Just heat, grind, and clarity. Later that day, I stood in front of a packed auditorium at the Global Innovation Summit. The topic? Redesigning the future of ethics in AI. I looked out at the crowd, CEOs, investors, students. And I spoke like a man who had burned the blueprint and built from ash. I shared how betrayal taught me caution, but creation taught me courage. How leaving the toxic love of a woman who wanted power more than partnership gave me the emotional bandwidth to rediscover purpose. I ended with, "You don't need to destroy others to rise. Just walk out of the rooms that shrink you. That's rebellion enough." They stood. Applauded. Cheered. But that wasn't the peak. The peak came weeks later, in silence. I sat in my minimalist home office. No gold accents. No velvet chairs. Just a single framed quote from my late mentor. "Let your dignity outlive your ambition." My phone buzzed. A text from my attorney. Finalized. "You now own full rights to the Phoenix Protocol." No drama. No tabloid mess. Just legal, clean, and irreversible. The Phoenix Protocol wasn't just a system. It was the legacy of everything I learned when I lost everything. Vivian tried to buy the patent rights anonymously. Twice. I declined. Silently. Not to punish. But to prove something. I didn't just survive her. I created something untouchable, something built on principles, not manipulation. A week later, I got a small package. No name. Inside was the old ceramic coffee mug I once kept in our apartment, the one she always made fun of for being too chipped. Taped to it, a note. "You were the whole damn cup. I only ever knew how to spill." No return address. Did I smile? No. I exhaled. And got back to building.